praise the Most High. Hope everyone had a blessed week. As you know, I'm not Deacon Ariyah. As you can see, some people may say we look alike, but I'm here in his stead. He's with the family, so everything's good and well. So I'll be standing in or sitting in for him. So just like I used to say back in the day, don't start, none won't be none. Right? All praise him, just a little humility. So I'm glad I see your faces. Last week we couldn't be here, due to some circumstances out of our control, but thanks to the Most High, we had another opportunity to come as a congregation together, right, Con? You never know how many opportunities we'll get. So, we want to relish each and every one that we have and not take it for granted per se, but just remember that at any time we could stop congregating together. You know what I'm saying? That can happen, flip of a switch, twinkle an eye, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So just thank the Most High. He gives us an opportunity as saints to come together and draw on his energy and draw on each other's energy in the faith, the one mind, and the unity in Christ. All right, so also we got Officer Bakar is going to be reading today. Some may say we look alike, but he'll be reading, but he's a little taller than I am. But
good to be you.
So he'll be reading on today as well. So with that, today's lesson is going to be on something that we all are accustomed to, and let me get it real quick. The title of the lessons from the elder today is called The Internet, Mark of the Beast in Training. All right, so once again, the Internet, Mark of the Beast in Training. So understanding that, the Internet is still, we consider fairly new when it was given to the actual, the public domain, understanding that it didn't start until actually, I think when I was in college, I was in the mid-90s, high school, when it was still very, very, we didn't even have the internet yet. I don't think until like the late 90s, if I'm mistaken, right?
It was about 1994.
94, and then going on to that, then we really started to flourish in the early 2000s to where you had the smartphones and, so it's not really that old if you think about it. It's still within 25 years per se that the internet, but as you can see how much progress the internet has grown and how it's a part of our lives. If no one can think how the internet is no longer a part of our lives since it's been used in order for us to function, in our daily lives. There's not one day that, we don't go on the internet for something, to look up something, to buy something, to gain information on something. So the internet has been integrated in our lives, and it's been done for a reason. It's to put us on training wheels. Well, not us, but to put the world on training wheels for the mark of the beast, to get used to everything to where this is something that's just normal, right? So with that, we're going to start with the commentary.
The internet. Most have it, and many seem to not be able to live without it. It is just a thing used for passing the time like one would go fishing or read a book. Is it possible that there is more to the story when it comes down to it, and that we all must be aware of the underlying agenda when going online so that we don't get taken by as many options of entertainment? In this lesson, we will examine the internet and its true purpose, as well as recognizing if we are in fact addicted to the internet.
Right, so that question or that last statement we'll go into in today's lesson as far as that. So it's just what is called the web. It's going to catch everyone in some form or fashion, to the point where once, at one time there was no such thing as computers. Now companies, grocery stores get integrated with computers. Now you can't function without them. You can't function your business without them, to the point where they've been integrated to where everybody's using it. So now we have to use it in order for us to be part of the world, right? So that's what the mark of the beast is. In in order to be a part of the world, we have to come to terms to, if we want to be a part of the world, this is what we have to do to be a part of it, right? So we're going to start off with, in this particular lesson, we have a lot of articles per se. So we're going to start with the first one. Let's read this one here.
There were many other significant developments in the early years that involve other protocols separate from the internet, but ran within it. These include email and the Network News Transfer Protocol, NNTP, which allowed users to exchange information in news groups over a user network, Usenet, and Telenet, and File Transfer Protocol, FTP, were two of the other protocols in use. And Internet Relay Chat was implemented in 1988. The internet in its early days was far from user-friendly. However, Tim Berners-Lee of CERN would change that by proposing hypertext language implemented in 1991. This introduced
communicating, but it was they had this information or this process long before they introduced it to us. They just used it to us to get used to it and use a form of entertainment. So like the hypertext language, that's your image clicking, like on your mouse. Anyone who knows computers, electronics, you just have your icons. So you click on that icon and it sends you to a bevy of different options that you can use on the internet. It's all information, as far as the information, graphics, that's all the internet is. You point on something, you click on it, and then through a series of programs, it shows you what you want to look at through that icon or through that particular word or a website as well. So understanding this is what they've been introducing us to, and the company Delphi, if you look that up, it's always something that's going to be concerning an ancient god. So Delphi was considered a female oracle that predicted the future during the Greek and Roman times. They're saying it's a woman, but we don't understand these are still fallen angels that are giving information to the Greeks and the Romans what's going to happen in the future, or giving information which can alter the future, all right, which can change the future, which can change societies to formulate to the fallen angels' will. So Delphi is just another one of these Greek and Roman gods, that you hear about. They name these companies after these names for a certain reason, right? So we're going to continue on. Let's go to the next commentary.
So the idea of making the internet more widespread came from a place called CERN. Prior to this time, the internet was only a basic message sending system within government, which was not very user-friendly. Why is CERN an important part of the puzzle in understanding the internet origin? Well, you are going to find that CERN is far more than some scientists sitting in a room looking for proof of the Big Bang, as the mainstream media originally reported. Here are a few quotes from CERN's website itself, in case you believe they are still looking for how the Big Bang started.
Right, so we know and understand how life started. We have the Bible for that. But this is what they have to use in order to get people to follow suit, to believe in what they said in order for them to follow them, or believe in their science or accept it, right? So CERN just means European Council for Nuclear Research, right? It says the name CERN is derived from the acronym for the French Conseil Européen pour la Recherche Nucléaire, or European Council for Nuclear Research, a provisional body founded in 1952 with the mandate, we know about mandates, of establishing a world-class fundamental physics research organization in Europe. So it's once again that mark of the Babylon. Let's bring the greatest minds together so we can figure out how to, when we're going to read what's next, what they bring the people all across the world to do at CERN. So let's, got another article here. It's home, CERN, physics and extra dimensions, gravitation, gravitons, and tiny black holes.
Why is gravity so much weaker than the other fundamental forces? A small fridge magnet is enough to create an electromagnetic force greater than the gravitational pull exerted by planet Earth. One possibility is that we don't feel the full effect of gravity because part of it spreads to extra dimensions. Though it may sound like science fiction, if extra dimensions exist, that would explain why the universe is expanding faster than expected and why gravity is weaker than the other forces of nature. Microscopic black holes. Another way of revealing extra dimension would be through the production of microscopic black holes. What exactly we would detect would depend on the number of extra dimensions, the mass of the black hole, the size of the dimensions, and the energy at which the black hole occurs. If micro black holes do appear in the collisions created by the LHC, they would disintegrate rapidly in and around 10 seconds. They would decay into a standard model or supersymmetric particles, creating events containing an exceptional number of tracks in our detectors, which we would easily spot. Finding more on any of these subjects would open the door to yet unknown possibilities.
Right, so all that was just saying that they're finding ways or paths to different dimensions, right? That's when you hear on a lot of the Marvels talking about that now. I think the last Spider-Man one, with him and Doctor Strange, and the Doctor Strange one now, they keep talking about these different dimensions. You know, oh man, alternate realities, things of that nature, which is getting you, prepared to understand what they're trying to do, or what they're going to present to you later down the line. So it's saying here, the last sentence says, or standard model or supersymmetric particles creating events containing an exceptional number of tracks in our detectors. So they're detecting tracks or paths that can lead to where they're saying they don't know yet, but they found these pathways that do lead to something, but they're not fully explaining what they lead to. So let's read the commentary.
That's right. They are looking to open doors or portals, literally, in order to access something on the other side, just like you saw in many sci-fi films. In fact, on their front lawn, they have a statue of a god called Shiva, standing in front of a portal with tongues of fire around it, proving this is a religious thing, not scientific.
Right. So you can't see the image, but if you look on CERN's website, they have what they call, if anyone can see that. Let me get back up here real quick. But that god of Shiva is the actual male deity in India, all right? And basically, the bio on this particular fallen angel is Shiva's role is to destroy the universe in order to recreate it. It says, Hindus believe his powers of destruction and recreation are used even now to destroy the illusions and imperfections of this world, paving the way for beneficial change. According to Hindu belief, this destruction is not arbitrary, but constructive. So understanding how Satan wants to change initially with the apple, with the tree of good and evil, to alter what the Most High made good in the beginning. So that still is the same thing even today. He's, with the schooling, the transgender, all these things are being changed to destroying the world, the initial world that the Most High created into, and recreating it to its own. So everything goes back to Satan, you know, and those who follow him. So let's read. Did you read the? Yeah, go ahead and read the commentary.
Now it is possible to see a piece of the end game in the minds of these sorcerers by understanding this statute through Scripture. Not only is this a false god, but you will discover that this God is known as the God of destruction, and that the Scriptures speak of the portal that is behind it. Let's take a look at the book of Enoch for a moment.
All right, so the book of Enoch, we're going to go to chapter 14, verses 8 through 12. So if you don't have it on you, that's fine. But it's the book of Enoch, chapter 14, verses 8 through 12.
Enoch chapter 14, verse 8. And the vision was shown to me thus. Behold, in the vision clouds invited me, and a mist summoned me. And the course of the stars and the lightning sped and hastened me. And the winds in the vision caused me to fly and lifted me upward and bore me into heaven. Verse 9. And I went in till I drew near to a wall which is built of crystals and surrounded by tongues of fire. And it began to afflict me. And I went into the tongues of fire and draw near to a large house which was built of crystals. And the walls of the house were like a tessellated floor made of crystals, and its groundwork was of crystal. Verse 11, its ceiling was like the path of the stars and the lightnings, and between them were fiery cherubim, and their heaven was clear as water. Verse 12, a flaming fire surrounded the walls, and its portals blazed with fire.
Right, and the last verse, and its portals blazed with fire. So, of course, Enoch, seeing this for the first time, anyone would be scared that, you know, you see a circle of fire, and they want you to walk through it, you know, everyone's going to be apprehensive for that. But as you can see, when he walked through, he ended up into another room, another place. So he traveled to another place through that particular portal. So this is the same thing that CERN is trying to do with these tracks or these paths that they're seeing where, trying to find out where they lead. All right, so commentary? Oh, no, I'm sorry. We're going to Second Esdras. Second Esdras chapter 3. We're going to be reading verses 17 through 19. So Second Esdras chapter 3, verses 17 through 19. More on traveling through portals.
Second Esdras chapter 3, verse 17. And it came to pass that when thou leadest his seed out of Egypt, thou broughtest them up to the Mount Sinai. Verse 18, and bowing the heavens, and bowing the heavens, thou didst set forth the earth, movest the whole world, and madest the depths to tremble, and troublest the men of that age. Verse 19, and thy glory went through 4 gates of fire, and of earthquake, and of wind, of cold, and thou mightest give the law unto the seed of Jacob, and diligence unto the generation of Israel.
Right, so this is, we don't understand, this is, Esdras is receiving understanding. This is how Christ came when the children of Israel saw him on the mount before he gave them the commandments. As far as that, this is how he traveled through. And as you can see in verse 18, bowing the heavens, you know, when you able to put something, bend it to 2 points, bring it together, is a lot closer versus a straight line. So understanding that's how they would construct wormholes in order to get to point A to point B a lot faster, they will bowl the heavens to reduce the time it takes to get from point A to point B. So even though the heavens and the earth are, the heavens, we look up and see the heavens, there's still a great distance between us and the Most High, so they have to bowl what we consider space in order to get from one point to another a lot faster, all right?
Like an example of that is warp speed.
Right. Warp speed, yeah.
And that image of the tessellating floor, that image was portrayed in that Michael Jackson video. So if you get that kind of image in your head of that floor in the previous passage.
Right, so like, yeah, Billie Jean, right, yeah, Billie Jean video that the officer was referring to. So yeah, warp speed, they're warping the time or the space in order to get to a place a lot faster as far as that. So it does take time to get, in space as far as that, but this is what they're ordered to do in order to open these portals, just like even on, once again, Marvel, with, I can't think of the name, just the Avengers, and I can't think of the guy's name right now. Thanos, yeah, what I'm saying? He opened all these portals, even on Doctor Strange, they were doing the hand thing, open up portals, and you can see on the other side there's a different place, and they just walk through and end up in a different area, just like nothing. That's them bending, the ability to bend time. But those things are like make-believe, but those things actually happen, they actually are able to do that. The angels are able to do that. That's how they're able to get. One instance is how the angels took, I'm thinking everybody's name today, doing Sodom and Gomorrah, Abraham's nephew, yeah. He was able to get him from one point to another. It wasn't him, them running. The angel's like, come on. He had to get him through a portal, boom. He's in another area way far from, Sodom and Gomorrah to where they're able to see the destruction because he was taken all day. So these angels had the ability to get to one point to another by bending time or bending space in between time in order to move, and that's how they get to where they need to. In different instances. Another instance is also, I think Ezekiel, when he helped out in Ezekiel, when he mentions an angel took him by the hair and ended up bringing him to help Daniel in the lion's den when he fed him. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't them flying in the air. Yeah, it wasn't them flying in the air. It was an angel being able to bend, go through a portal, and he ends up giving Daniel something to eat while he's in the lion's den. So all these are different instances of how they're able to bowl or bend time, in order to get to one place to another. So, or bend space as far as that. So let's continue on with the commentary.
There are in fact gates or portals that blaze with fire that lead to the abode of the Most High, and Satan's endgame has always been to get there and to rule from the throne. All religions lead to the same gods which were cast down, and the original plan to connect the whole world in unison is still being pushed throughout all religions in a covert manner. Haven't you noticed by now that in thousands of cases of scientific endeavors, they name the project or something they constructed after gods? Is not a coincidence. The internet itself also is a medium by which all people have united, especially when it comes down to confusion and sin. The word media itself hints at the real purpose of it, which is to connect a person with demons, just like witches and so-called psychics do.
Right, so understanding that, hey, their gods are going to get the glory. So they're going to name their companies because they're the one to give them the information. You may see the front man, that may be a person like an actual individual, but they name their companies for a reason because that's the particular God that gave them the technology in order for them to give to the masses. So just like that Delphi, they're saying it was a woman was an oracle, but understanding that was a God that gave a female deity that gave them the information on the internet to use later on, later on down the line, and until they introduced it to us as the World Wide Web. So yeah, just like the commentary says, all these companies, when you look at the backstory, you're going to find out that they were names of fallen angels. So just keep that in mind. So we're going to go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 47. We're going to be reading verses 8 through 12.
Isaiah chapter 47, verse 8. Therefore hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures, that dwelleth carelessly, that sayest in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children.
Right, so this is someone who believes, or a nation that believes that no one, can't be defeated. Keep reading.
Verse 9, but these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and of widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection for the multitude of thy sorceries.
Right, and sorceries, when you looked at it in Hebrew, is either witchcraft or magic, right? So in magic, understanding in today's world, magic is the power of influencing a course of events by mysterious or supernatural forces. So, like I said, Delphi, was able to influence the course of events by her giving that knowledge of, the technology on how to create the internet. So how did that change? Well, today's lesson today, where everybody's using the internet. Every phone has the internet. We can't do anything without using the internet, right? So this is the magic, what they consider magic, or we know and understand these are mysteries that have been given to men by fallen angels in order for them to influence the course of events of time. All right, keep reading.
And for the great abundance of thine enchantments. Verse 10, for thou hast trusted in thy wickedness. Thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it has perverted thee. And thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. Verse 11, therefore shall evil come upon thee. Thou shalt not know from whence it riseth, and mischief shall come upon thee. Thou shalt not be able to put it off, and desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know.
And that desolation is destruction or ruin. All right, keep reading.
Verse 12, stand now with thine enchantments, and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be thou shalt be able to profit, if so be thou mayest prevail.
So in verse 12, the Most High is saying, hey, bring me your best shot. When he says, stand now with thine enchantment, so stick with them, since it perverted you, and now you believe that no one's beside you, no one can defeat you, right? And it says, and with the multitude of thy magic, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. So from the inception of a nation, or from the youth of you creating an idea to alter the course of the world. So since you labored, since all the effort that you put into to form the internet, to form a way of life, or a way that you want the world to go through Satan, the Most High is saying, hey, stick with it. If you believe that what you're going to do is going to happen, even though in verse 11, he's saying, they're going to be destroyed. But he's telling them, the wicked, to stay with it. If you believe it so much, stick with it. If so be thou shalt be able to profit, if so be thou mayest prevail. So if you think you're going to profit and prevail from what your enchantments and your sorcery, your technologies, stick with it, since you already have it explained in verse 8, it says, "Thou art given to pleasures that dwellest carelessly, that says in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me." So if that's your mind frame, stick with it. No need to change now if you believe that you can go forward with this agenda without me intervening. So, all right, so let's continue on. Let's go with the elders' commentary.
Those that control America ultimately control the world, since most desire to be like America. They, the controllers, have used high-level sorcery and enchantments since America was established. It has been easier through the internet and other forms of media to increase the levels of sorcery, as all nations seem to want to imitate the beast system on some level. Let's now look at the addiction side and identify if we may be also part of the mass hypnosis, which has an end game. We will speak about it also.
So the next section is going to be on indicators of internet addiction. All right, so let's read the article.
Do you feel you have constant thoughts preoccupying or distracting you about being online? For example, are you focused often on thoughts about previous online activity, or are you constantly looking forward to your next online session? Are you finding yourself seeking more and more time to be online, as if you have a job online? Have you failed time and time again to cut back on this usage? Do you get immediate or can't sleep when going without internet for short periods of time? Have you found yourself constantly exceeding the amount of time you plan to be online, often doing things of no real constructive value? Have you before or currently risked the loss of important relationships, jobs, educational or career opportunities because of internet usage? Have you lied to others to conceal the true extent of what you do on the internet? Do you find yourself using the internet as a means of escape from the realities of your life, which may be littered with many spiritually traumatic issues like depression?
Right, so these are questions that parents, you can ask your children. You can let them on the couch and, take the phone away, take the tablet, and just, do a case study and ask them these questions to see what their responses are, as far as let them know, see if they have internet addiction. Most of the time, I think most of it is going to be anyone from the 2000s, most of it who were inundated with a lot of this, that these questions are something that you can really ask yourself. Myself, anyone that's, I guess you would consider over 40, probably won't have that much of an issue, because we came in on it, and we already kind of had how we function already. We didn't need the internet. The internet wasn't a part of our lives. But I know a lot of us, in the 20s and earlier, internet was used in school. That was part of their life, and it's just grown since then. So this is some questions that you may want to ask yourself, as far as that, to see, if I put down my phone, or I put down, if I don't use the social media, how do I feel after that? Am I moody? Am I, do I have issues? I can't seem to, concentrate, so it's something that you want to look at doing as well. So we have some other things as well that'll give some things that may help if you do use the internet a lot, in a lot of your off time. So let's go with the commentary.
You might have to take my computer out to serve. If so, then you will notice the connection that the symptoms that we describe are also symptoms that mimic the symptoms of other addictions. Question is it in fact possible that the internet itself helps to fuel our other sinful desires and other diligence to be online and confusion in the fact a plan Satan has pitched in order to cause our diligence to the things of the Father to suffer.
All right, so the next set of scriptures is going to be the book of Revelation, chapter 13, verses 11 through 18. So the book of Revelations, chapter 13, verses 11 through 18.
Revelations 13, verse 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Verse 12. And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. Verse 13. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men.
Right, and those wonders is technologies. It's the beast, or we know the beast are through Daniel, are the kingdoms, the main kingdoms that are going to alter, the course of the earth as far as that through the Most High. But through their technologies is how, the great wonders is you can just switch that with technology. Right, keep reading.
Verse 14. And deceive them that dwell on the earth by means of these miracles, which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword, and did live.
Right, so that word miracle, when you look at in the Greek and understand what that means, is that miracles and wonders by which the Most High authenticates the men sent by him. So understanding that the Most High will send even the beast, that was part of it. The Most High sent them, right? The Most High sends the wicked to do his bidding. Even though we think that, even though the wicked are not of the Most High or follow him, he does send them to do his will. Even though they may think they're doing Satan's will, even Satan who thinks he's doing his own will, the Most High are using, use all of us in his way at the end. So he's using who the Most High authenticates. So he's using this beast with these miracles is sent by him. And also it says, or by which men prove that the cause they are pleading is the Most High. So also it's just explaining that everything that's being done in the earth, what the beast is doing is, and how the Bible explains this, is letting you know it's from the Most High. And people will also tell, even though they won't tell us, that it may be coming from them on the wicked perspective, or those who are running the governments of the earth. They're not going to tell you that their God is Satan as far as that, but they're pleading to you their cause by them being able to do Satan's bidding as well. So understand that the Most High is overall, but there's a ranking system with everything. But you can see how the Most High is using all entities to do his will, but how the people who are doing the wills of these entities on earth as well, they're pleading their cause by what they're doing, the vaccines, the mandates, the opening up of wormholes and things of that nature. This is what is going on through that, even just through that word, just miracle in itself. So let's keep reading.
Verse 15. And he had the power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Verse 16. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, Verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Verse 18, here is wisdom. Let him that has understanding count the number of the beast, for it is a number of man, and his number is 666.
Right, and I don't know if how many brothers and sisters who watch Elder Ramar on Fridays, as far as that. I mean, he brings out a lot of this information concerning the mark of the beast, but in this last one, this international summit, they were going over how they were trying to convert. A few countries are doing it already to convert to the digital currency, and it's not saying it's not what we know now, like crypto and things like that. But it's one thing you're going to remember. It's called CBDC, which is central bank digital currency, where a central bank, a lot of nations have their central bank and where they want to go with this digital currency, but they call it also blockchain as well, meaning that it's the ability to where they're able to track every particular purchase. Anything that you do is traceable. That anytime it can be tracked. So when you make a blockchain, of course, if you make one purchase, and they can track off that purchase a lot of different other things that you purchased, just based off that now. And that's the technology that they're looking to, what they will get us into, which will be what they consider the mark of the beast, where every single purchase or transaction you made is traceable. All right, so just remember that CBDC, that's what's going to be what they're going to promote as far as the digital type of currency, to where cash, anything like that won't be used at all. All right, so let's go to the next commentary.
Things like the internet are in fact miracles. Think about it. I can actually talk to someone on the other side of the earth without any real delay in message being received, as if they are in the same room as me. The beast system will be further through the miracles that Satan is providing in the sight of men according to the Bible. If we hope to make it and not take the mark, we must begin to see things as it is, and not get sucked into operating in a fashion in which we can't live without Satan's miracles.
Right, like I said, without Satan's miracles or wonders or technologies, the things that he's given man. So as you can see, all this stuff, the base of it, the foundation of the mark of the beast is the internet. That's the foundation. That's the foundation they laid in order to have the digital. We're just seeing what it's called now. They're saying the mark of the beast, the FRD chip, all that is used basically, but the internet is the foundation of all those different particular technologies and entities that they're going to look to promote for people to use. So understand that that's why the internet is so important as far as in their agenda to get everybody into one mind, just like at the Tower of Babel. So we're going to continue on to Romans chapter 7. We're going to be reading verses 7 and 8.
Romans chapter 7, verse 7. What shall we say to them? Is the law sin? God forbid, nay. I had not known sin, but by law, for I had known lust, except the law had said, thou shalt not covet. Verse 8, but sin, taking occasion by the commandment, brought me in all manner of concupiscence. For without the law, sin was dead.
Right, so understanding what Paul is explaining, he's saying that the law, because someone can say, is the law sin? Because it says, thou shalt not, thou shalt not, thou shalt not. No, but Paul is explaining that the law, the commandments, is telling me what sins that may be in me. It's kind of revealing it to me what the Most High doesn't want me to do. So understanding that, Paul saying, I had not known sin, but by the law. So if we're out here doing whatever and understanding that judgment time come, and someone can be judged and going to hell, hey, without that, they may not known, hey, if they known the law, or if they was introduced to it, they're like, well, I wouldn't have done that if this was going to be the judgment for it. So Paul is explaining that in his own understanding, when he had the road to Damascus moment, understanding that he thought he was following the law until Christ had to show him, no, you weren't following along in your actions, but he had not known that if it wasn't explained to him. So that's why the law was so important. And like I said, it showed in verse 8, it said, but sin, taking occasion by the commandment, wrought in me all manner of concupiscence, which just means lust, the forbidden pleasures, right? For without the law, sin was dead, meaning that he had not known it. He had not known, even though he was the Pharisees, he knew the law. He did not know the spirit of the law, and understanding that even what he was doing, killing the saints, things of that nature, was through lust. And the lust of others, the power to just say, hey, I'm right and you're wrong, and understanding that lust comes in all different forms and fashions. And he understood that the law, actually in the law, it explains that, but he didn't see it until he received a deeper meaning that Christ brought to his disciples, and then thus brought to him. All right, so we're going to continue on with the commentary.
Paul was speaking of the law within us, known as the law of sin, which without the laws of the Most High, we would not really be mindful that those sinful tendencies exist. The question is, are we feeding into the sinful tendency to covet? If so, then we are wide open for the mark of the beast, being it will be the only way to continue in the things that you covet, especially online when the system is fully implemented. If it's one thing media has provided, it is a way to covet in secret.
Right, and thou shalt not covet. That's one of the, that's the last of the commandments. And the internet gives us the ability to desire what others have. Whether it's a lifestyle, whether it's physical, anything. But it allows us to covet in secret, and that's part of what the agenda of the internet is as well, is to have us covet, have us to come out. Because when you covet, you end up doing things outside of what you're supposed to do. So say for instance, if, and I just use this because this is what I used to do when I was young, coveting someone else who has, some Jordans, right? Now, I can't afford the Jordans, but by me coveting them, I'm going to make the bad decision to pay for something that I know I can't afford because I covet what somebody has. And coveting can cause stealing. Coveting can cause a lot of different other variables, because each commandment has what we consider in what we're talking about a blockchain, or you just can't covet one thing. It's going to lead to other sins. All the sins lead to other sins. They all do. So understanding that, that's what the internet would give you the tendency to do, to covet, so you can be outside of your means or live above your means, or you get depressed because you can't have the certain things others have. So coveting comes in many different forms and fashions, and that's what the internet does. It's another way to trap us into doing things that give us sinful tendencies. So we have another statistic. We have statistics here called netaddiction.com. So they have a list here of internet infidelity statistics. So you can read that also.
Flirting, non-addictive, but if you become addicted to it on the internet, non-addictive, you're more likely to occur is 20%. But if you're on the internet, it's more likely to be 57%. Explicit adult talk. Normally it's only 9%. But when you're on the internet, it's 38%. You dive into self-pleasure. Normally it's only 12%, but when you're on the internet, it's 37%. An online affair might occur in real life, 14%, but on the internet, it shoots up to 42%. Phone contact. You might not call a person. It would be only 18% in the non-addictive behavior, but on the internet, it's 50%. In real-time adult intercourse, you gotta explain this one.
I guess something I'm going to use, but I don't know if I can explain that one all the way.
Real-time adult intercourse normally be 13%, but on the internet, it's 31%.
I don't know how old these statistics are, but that's what they got. Anyone see the movie with Judge Dredd, the old one? Yeah, Sylvester Stallone. I remember they were using the virtual reality. That's the only thing I could real time, intercourse where they were using the virtual reality. They were talking about virtual reality back then, where it was contactless, intimacy. So they had these particular goggles they would put on, and they would have virtual adult intercourse. So that's the only thing I can think of as far as that. But that was back in the 90s, I think, that they were into. Oh, Demolition Man. Oh, my apologies. Okay, Demolition Man. Yeah, that's what it was. Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's really old, man. What you know about Coneheads, man? That's an old 80s like movie as far as that. But yeah, I forgot about Coneheads. But yeah, definitely, this is what, they were introducing those things to us back then, to where now it's, a reality. So, but who all knows about OnlyFans? Well, I mean, you can say you have to be on it, but I mean, if you heard about it, I know everybody's like, I ain't trying to say you was on it. I'm just saying, okay, you heard about it. Okay, that's fine. Hey, we all hear about things. So.
And you can only hear it off the internet.
Yeah, you only hear it off the internet. So understand it. With this here, when it talks about infidelity, right? So when it comes to OnlyFans, it says it's an internet content subscription service based in London, United Kingdom. Content creators can earn money from users who subscribe to their content, the fans. It allows content creators to receive funding directly from their fans on a monthly basis, as well as one-time tips, and the pay-per-view feature. The website has listen to this. The website has 2 million content creators and 130 million users. So 2 million, so you got 2 million creators, but 130 million people watch it, right? So it says here, the service is popular with sex workers and commonly associated with pornography, but it also hosts the work of other content creators, such as physical fitness experts, musicians, and other creators. So, but it's popular for the sex workers and pornography. So, understand this internet, when it talks about the addictions, hey, like I said, you can do it in secret now. You can cover it in secret, where people are creating content, right? And now, instead of, I just use this because this is what I knew, instead of someone going to a strip joint and throwing dollars, guess what? A female can, sister can be in a room, now they got they try to push this off with this, doing pole work exercises. I don't know if nobody remember that. Get you a pole and you can do all these exercises. They always try to do stuff to make it seem, you can do it for your husband, or this is a great way to work out. You upside down in the half split. Like that's a workout. But this is the things they're doing, right? You can you can do it in your own home now. If they got it where you can just pay money, the content creator, And guess what it's going to be? Most is going to be sex oriented. So understanding that, this is where the infidelity statistics come from when you had these websites. Because back in the day on the internet, you couldn't use it in the 90s. Hey, they had blocks on all that stuff. You couldn't use it in school. If you went to a website in school, it was like blocked. You couldn't use any. Nowadays, you can scroll through anything and get it now. Whatever you want, whatever your desire, as far as that. But this is part of what causes the addictions and the sinful nature of the internet, right? So we're going to continue on with the commentary.
The fact is, it is a huge problem. Please understand, sin is sin, no matter if you are hiding it in your home or not. These same actions, if the law was in place, would end up with a person under a pile of rocks. Think about it. If you were caught in your home with a person who was unclothed and it wasn't your spouse, you would have been dragged out before everyone and more likely killed. The internet has made it an easy way to participate in evil without the potential consequences of having to go out and find the sin.
Right, yeah, so it's a lot of those things where you try to erase your history. Somebody come in, hey, what's going on? What's going on? All those things are what's, allow people to do things, in secret now, or all the lights are off, only thing you can see is this computer screen because somebody's on the internet, on their laptop, things that they on their phone. This is what the internet has done to a lot of people. Has made it addictive to the point where, you may think that you're not sinning, no one can see it, but we know the Most High sees it all. And knows everything is written down. Oh yeah, he or she was on this website. Everything goes up to the Father at the end of the day. Huh? All right, so we're going to continue on. Let's go to the book of Matthew, all right, chapter 5. We're going to be reading verses 27 through 30. The book of Matthew, chapter 5, verses 27 through 30.
Matthew chapter 5, verse 27. Ye have heard that is said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery. 28. But I say unto you, that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her has committed adultery with her already in his heart. Verse 29. And if thy right eye offend thee, pluck it out, and cast it from thee, for it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that thy whole body should be cast into hell. Verse 30. And if the right eye offend thee, cut it off, and cast it from thee, for it is profitable to thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that thy whole body should be cast into hell.
All right, commentary.
Now we are not saying pluck out your eyes, but what you must do is stop using your eyes as a means of taking in wicked sights.
Yeah, websites. Keep reading.
In a world of lust, it is a real challenge, but you will find the more you back away from different forms of media, the easier it will get. Before the judgment seat, even lust is considered grave. We are supposed to cover spiritual things of the Most High.
Come.
So you can set the settings, privacy, clear the cookies, clear the cache, and you still gonna be in a mess.
Right, exactly. So we're gonna continue on. We're gonna go to the book of Jude, right? It's only one chapter in Jude. So verses 6 through 8. Book of Jude, verses 6 through 8. But that is a good idea to set, set your preferences, when you go on the internet, so you don't come across something that may set you back. Because sometimes, you get a lot of things, especially with YouTube, you got to be careful with a lot of these, sites, because if you click on something by mistake, it's going to start introducing you to those things automatically. Automatic off the jump, it'll, whatever. So if you set your settings, or what you dislike, it can kind of help to where you don't end up catching something that could be like, oh man, I can't get it out of my head, for 3 days, 4 days, now I got to struggle with this thought or the sight of what my eyes have caught, because you can't just erase anything. You have to get it out of your system. So.
And when you come to a website and it doesn't have a privacy statement, you better run. And it would be advisable too, when that little cookie thing pop up and you haven't been on that site before, you better read it. Okay? Especially the ones without the privacy statements, anything can be on that site or anything can be tracking you.
Some good information, good wisdom.
Okay, Jude, chapter 1, verse 6. And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he has reversed in everlasting change under darkness unto the judgment of the great day. Verse 7. Even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them, in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh, I set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. Verse 8, likewise, also these filthy dreamers defile the flesh, despise dominion, and speak evil of dignities.
All right, so let's read the commentary.
We began in fantasizing. We began to fantasize as the fallen angels did, leading to our strongholds of sin, which even in the truth are hard to put down. We dream of sin and desire to partake in temptation, leading to a spirit which knows no limits to sin, like those destroyed in Sodom. Also, as men, our families have been attacked as we are distracted in our own world and of confusion. It is passed from one generation to the next, and our wives and children suffer. Right.
So we have another article here. It's from the news from the BBC News, titled "Women's Growing Addiction to the Internet."
People who are addicted to the internet are more likely to be 30-something women than the stereotyped shy male teenager, according to new research. A study of 445 internet users by the University of Hertfordshire found that women equally likely to define themselves as addicts as men. More addicts were among around 30 years old. Some 40 million people in the United States are estimated to be regular users of the internet, compared to around 7 million in the UK. In the early days, most users were male, but women are fast catching up. A 1994 US survey found that only 5% of the users were female. By 1998, the numbers has risen to 38%. The University of Hertfordshire researchers allow users to define themselves as addicts. 46% said they had an addiction. They were asked how often they use the net and their attitude to it. Addicts defined as those who use the internet a lot and were very positive about it. Women were more likely than men to score high on the addiction rating. However, one stereotype was backed up. The researchers found the internet users did tend to be more depressed and introverted than the average person.
Right, and that's key because now now in the day of text, people are not as social. Because even though we had the telephone, we still were talking to someone. Now everything is responded through text, so you become antisocial, or what they're saying, introverted, because we're not using the skills that we're supposed to when we come in contact with individuals. So we may seem like people who children now may have the sense, if they're allowed to just stay to their own, to just all their time is spent on the internet or on their phone. When they get to be around others, they could look different or odd because they don't have the social skills. So, this is just to parents understanding that, even though the children may have the phones, things of that nature, they got to have just a time on it, so they can be able to do other things outside of, so they can become actual, social human beings, and not always quiet or shy because, they're not used to talking to anyone. So that is true. That's why I said one stereotype is backed up, because they do become depressed, introverted, because you see things that you wish you could be, and then that makes you look, you look at something in the mirror, you look at yourself in the mirror versus something you see, that makes you depressed. Oh, I can't be like this. All those things have their meaning of Satan's agenda, as far as that of making people feel bad about themselves or how the Most High created. Some people are like, man, I wish I didn't have freckles. And this person's got, flawless skin, So that's what the internet does. It makes you hate what the Most High created. And, and that's Satan, because Satan's agenda from the beginning was to destroy the image of the Most High, because he didn't want to worship it, right? So these are all underlining things that Satan wants to happen to us by giving us things like the internet. So let's continue on with the commentary.
One thing Satan understands since the beginning is that if you get the woman, more than likely you will get the children. We must be careful about our desire to quickly pass our children a method of media to connect to the web, so that we won't have to attend to them, because we are helping to promote the next generation of addicts within our own home.
Right. So even with the, we don't want to use the the laptop or the cell phone as a pacifier. The child, hey, watch this, and they quiet. You know what I'm saying? You got something. Nowadays, you got to figure out what in actuality cartoons, they watch it. I don't know anybody. I'm a little bit older, but Teletubbies and things of that nature. A lot of the other things where you be looking at like, man, what is this y'all watching? You know what I'm saying? Because we're so used to saying, all right, we don't interact as much, because now a lot of times both parents or just a single parent have to work, and in doing so, we're looking for other alternatives to gain our children's attention, to where we can, get the things we need to get done, or whatever has some alone time. But a lot of times these different medias we don't know what they're inundating our children with, and understanding that even though it may seem harmless, or the way they may promote it may seem harmless, but actually they're sending underlying messages to our children, and they end up having these different thoughts to where, like, I never taught you that, you never see me doing it, but they're picking them a lot this time because a lot of their teaching moments are coming through television. So understanding that's one of the keys.
And avoid being so hip with your kids. Remember, for those who do, Bones, Thug, and Harmony had that, I forgot the song, but they had those demonic chants within that song. Well, that got into our kids. That was like one of those #1 records. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the problems we have now is because that medium, you projected those things into our heads. And if I had known as a parent, instead of, oh, here, go ahead, yeah, well, listen to that. You know, giving them pacifier. I should have came in there and broke records, hit my hand through the wall, everything. Okay, if it would have stopped what was going to occur. But see, you don't know. And the same thing can happen now with the internet.
Great wisdom, because anybody remember the box, music video, The Box? I got a couple, okay, we remember that. And he was mentioning Bone Thugs and Harmony on how one of their songs, you know, whatever the song or the hip song that's out now, people can just keep replaying it. A lot of times, whatever song it is, you would get that on repeat over and over again. And there was one when you mentioned Bone Thugs and Harmony, it was called The First of the Month, where they were talking about welfare. But understanding that those things that your children see, thinking that, okay, welfare is being cool. Because I got somebody rapping about it, like me living off the government is something that is hip, because I got somebody rapping it in the song and it's got a catchy, you know, beat to it and everything. So all those things are inundated, like the officer was saying, that gives us our children, you know, these preconceived thoughts to where they now are projecting what they're seeing on TV in their lives now. And then it's hard to flush out a system because we've been giving that to them for the longest time. Now that's become their teacher on how they should operate socially. So, but we're going to continue on. We're almost done. We have some solutions, right? Now we've given all the different things that, you know, the internet does, things of that nature, the bad part of the internet. But we got some practical solutions on how to get over these addictions if we have them, things of that nature. So practical solutions.
Find an activity to do that doesn't require you to be on the internet all the time. Yet it interests you. For example, take up language online and get real physical books and recordings which don't require the internet. Keep a stopwatch on net time. Just like you may have used one to make sure you studied in school, if you were a serious student, you can do the same to limit your time online. Get in the Word while online. There are several GOCC videos online on our Ustream page. Well, now that's Patreon. If you go there, you will have no other sources to tempt you. Watch them when you crave distraction from life's problems while also promoting growth. Download what is available for download by the church so that you have another way of separating from the net. Read a book. Many don't read at all anymore. Get a physical book which does not promote sin, that you stay away from the net. Being transparent. The more you are open with your problems with your spouse, the more you will stay away from it, knowing they are now aware. Us operating in the shadows has destroyed us long enough. Calculate the time. Be aware of how much time you spend using the internet and log it down for a few weeks. Seeing on paper that wasted hours you could have spent doing constructive things to strengthen yourself or others can also help put things into perspective. Also log the emotions you felt when trying to limit your online exposure. Go for a walk or run. All that sitting can cause long-term physical issues, and there are many that have suffered severe health issues simply because of their escaping reality for hours on end on the internet.
Right. So, so basically, these are some practical solutions. Let's read the last part.
Finally, pray to the Father more. If you are praying, you aren't typing. Also realize that a fast in which you separate from the net for a time may also be needed.
Right, and that's interesting because fasts just don't come just without you partaking in food and nourishment, but fast things that take your attention from the Most High. So if you notice and realize that you're spending a lot of time doing something and it's keeping you away from the Bible, it's keeping you away from watching the lessons, it's keeping you from being spiritually centered with the Most High, then you need to look at that and say, hey, even though it may not be something that may be sin per se, but if it's taking you from the Most High, you should consider that a sinful tendency and limit it and start to look for other means that's going to help you balance, because it's all about balance. So balance your day with the scriptures and with other worldly activities that you may have that's not sin, right? So interested in that last part where, and me and my wife have a great case study with our daughters when it comes to the cell phones or the internet, and how she always tell them, hey, how long you been on the phone? Get off the phone. And then you hear, what was that? Huh? You hear the side like it's like, as soon as the phone, like the world just ended. I'm just like, no, just take some time to do something else. Now the whole day is shot. I can't read a book. Read a book is like a drag. It's like nothing else in the world you can do but be on the phone. You know what I'm saying? But, other activities, like I say, hey, go out, run, they roller skate, go outside, get some fresh air, you know what I'm saying? Sit and talk to each other, versus being separate and just, be on the phone. So those are all different ways to, get yourself off the internet or these social media sites. But the last part was the health issues. You get a lot of, excuse me, you get a lot of things that happen when you're just sitting. I was watching this chiropractor and they was talking about how a lot of people come in with these different ailments that's due to the internet. Your shoulders and you're misaligned from your top up, your neck, things of that nature, because you're in a certain position for the longest time, for hours. Sometimes you don't even know you're on there for hours. You could be 30 minutes straight in one position and think about how your body is trying to hold that position. Your spine is trying to hold that position. And you realize once you come out of your trance, like that you haven't moved within an hour, then you're like, oh, my neck, my back, my shoulders. And they're going into the chiropractor saying that, hey, for some reason, I'm having this strange, my shoulder. And he's telling me, like, he's saying that, hey, I get a lot of people coming in because, they're on the internet, they're on their phone, they're sitting at the computer all day. This is where it's coming from, right? And a lot of chiropractors are making a ton of money because, this condition that people are in now. So one of the things, I had an article here I'm gonna read real quick called a modern spine alignment, called, anybody heard of the term text neck? So this is a term now called text neck. And it says here, you may have noticed a new buzzword in health news recently called text neck. Text neck is the term used to describe the neck pain and damage sustained from looking down at your cell phone, tablet, or other wireless devices too frequently and for too long. And it seems increasingly common. Recently, a patient came in to my practice complaining of severe upper back pain. He woke up and was experiencing severe acute upper back muscle strain. I told him I believe the pain is due to the hours he was spending hunched over his cell phone. The diagnosis was text neck. So understanding, I'll keep reading, it says, of course, this posture of bending your neck to look down does not occur only when texting. For years, we've all looked down to read. The problem with texting is that it adds one more activity that causes us to look down. And people tend to do it for much longer periods. It is especially concerning because young, growing children could possibly cause permanent damage to their cervical spines that could lead to lifelong neck pain. All right, so that's the real thing. So like I said, our children and things like that, if you don't want to be in one of those Nick things all your life where you just walking around like, what you got technique? You know what I'm saying? If you don't want to walk around, you can't wear your favorite dress because you got technique, you got this huge monstrosity because your spine is weak, is gone. Look at, I said, hey, you don't want no hunchback. You be seeing people around there like, hey, what's going on? Oh, she must got text neck. You know what I'm saying? I ain't about to get that. Brother's like, hey, Shalom, you can't play basketball, trying to do a layup. Hey, what's going on? Huh? Shalom, you can't do the Shalom because, hey, text neck, You know what I'm saying? Like people get the whiplash, they be wearing that around everywhere. Like you can't ride a bike, can't walk, because you got text neck. So if you don't want text neck, monitor your time on the internet because this thing, hey, sometimes you get up and like, you got to stretch, because, you've been looking down. You don't realize because what you're looking at is interesting, and so it's a real thing. So if you don't want that, if you want to go to the beach, you don't want that big ball on the back of your neck because it's a bulging disc because of text neck. You want to look cute. You're trying to cover it up, hey, everybody see the text neck because they're going to see that bulging disc. Don't be on the internet all day. So, all right, so I got one more scripture before we close out. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verses 26 through 34.
1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 26. The last enemy that shall be destroyed is death. Verse 27. For he has put all things under his feet. But when he says all things are put under him, it is manifest that he is accepted, which did put all things under him. Verse 28. And when all things shall be subdued unto him, then shall the Son also himself be subject unto him, that put all things under him, that the Most High may be all in all. Verse 29. Else what shall they do which are baptized for the dead? If the dead rise not at all, why are they then baptized for the dead? Verse 30. And why we stand we in jeopardy every hour. Verse 31. I protest by your rejoicing, which I have in Christ Yeshua, our Savior. I die daily. Verse 32. If after the manner of men I have fought with the beast at Ephesus, what advantage it me? If the dead rise not, let us eat and drink, for tomorrow we die. We die. Verse 33. Be not deceived. Evil communications corrupt good manners. Verse 34. Awake to righteousness and sin not, for some have not the knowledge of the Most High. I speak this to your shame.
Right, so Paul is explaining, especially in verse 32, the beast at Ephesus. If you read Acts, you know what went down at Ephesus when he tried to get rid of the fallen, the gods and things, that Diana and all that, how he was beat nearly to death as far as that. So that's what he's explaining on that. So let's go to the commentary. We got one more scripture actually, so let's go to the commentary.
Our evil communications online are a big problem, and we can't profess to know the Most High if we don't break free of them. We must become dead to the evil affairs of this world to gain eternal life.
All right, and last scripture, Romans chapter 6, verses 10 through 13.
Romans chapter 6, verses 10. For in that he died unto sin once, but in that he lived unto the Most High. Verse 11. Likewise reckon ye also yourselves to be dead indeed unto sin, but alive unto the Most High, through Yeshua, our Savior. Verse 12, let not sin therefore reign in your mortal body, that ye should obey it in the lust thereof. Verse 13, neither yield ye your members as instruments of unrighteousness unto sin, but yield yourselves unto the Most High as those that are alive from the dead, and your members as instruments of righteousness unto the Most High.
All right, final commentary.
From your head down to your toes, be righteous and choose not to walk in the desires of your flesh. Finish this race strong, and don't allow your sinful tendencies to keep you from the kingdom.
All right, give all praise to the Most High for the lesson. All right, at this time, if there's any questions, oh man, I don't never had that many when I'm the deacon here. And make sure I get this right. All right, any questions or comments? Hey, Shaquat, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Could you repeat the commentary? I was still writing it down. The last one.
The last commentary?
Can we really take a second? From your head down to your toes, be righteous, and choose not to walk in the desires of your flesh. Finish this race strong, and don't allow your sinful tendencies to keep you from the kingdom.
All right. Okay.
Shalom. Hey, man, that was an awesome lesson. Awesome lesson. In fact, I was really intrigued by the alternate reality part. Okay, because I really don't think we understand how much we've been conditioned, even from childhood, to create an alternate reality for ourselves. Like the young men from Cops and Robbers type of thing. You know, that was an alternate reality. You know, we wanted to do this, but you know, we were really in reality we doing this. You know, the dress up thing, not for men, but you know what I mean. But women, you know, dressing up as princesses and stuff like that. You know, creating an alternate reality for ourselves, right? So then you fast forward to adults and to the digital, you know, time frame, whereas you may have somebody that it's not confrontational, you know, don't have an ounce of confrontation in them, or just scared of confrontation. But then when they get on the social media and text messaging, then they using words and stuff like that just to be, you know, to confront somebody that they may not really even say or do, or if they were, you know, in front of somebody. Once again, another alternate reality. We create these alternate reality for ourselves. And, you know, I mean, even, I don't even think we understand where the very first alternate reality came from. Like if we think about the scripture, I believe it's in Isaiah 14 when Satan, verse 12, when he says, how are you falling from heaven, O Lucifer? And he created that alternate reality, saying that I will go on to be like God. I will put my throne, you know, towards the north. Y'all know how the scripture go, right? So that's an alternate reality, you know, not realizing that, okay, Satan is not going to never be God. I mean, come on. I mean, you know, the creation is never going to overthrow the creator. So it's like, you know, as you all were giving the dialogue, this stuff started coming in my mind about this, and even going back to Elder Lawyer, he was on today, And even what he was bringing forth as far as the Planned Parenthood, with and he mentioned about the liberation movement and all of that. And even with that being said, we had women, we had sisters in homes where actually just because they may feel a certain way, but yet somebody will come into the home and create an alternate reality for them to say, hey, look, you can be liberated over here and all that. And then next thing you know, they're committing a sin, and then next thing you know, the whole structure of the whole home is broken. So that's all I want to say, is that how we don't really realize how we've been conditioned for many years, even before the tech age. We've been conditioned to always focus and want to be in an alternate reality. So that's it. Shalom.
All praise for that, yeah. But that's what the internet does. It gives you the alternate reality, like you said. It's where you can stay in it, like with Facebook changed to Meta. Now, so Metaverse, that's an alternate reality that people can stay in. I think there's other movie, where I can't think of the name of it, where people were always on the internet. It was a Disney movie. What is it called? Yeah, Ready Player One. They were always on the whole thing. They were always on the internet. They made avatars, all that stuff. So, yeah, it's to create another reality outside the one the Most High can put us in. So.
That was a very informative thing for me. Subject as far as the internet. So one point was that you made about the portals. I'm watching Quantum Leap. So when you brought the portals up, it kind of reminded me of certain situations that Sam was going through, and that it was another world, and it was an alternate person, an ego or whatever, and he was replacing another person, and they made it seem like he was doing good, but really behind the scenes he's traveling through, and Ziggy is God, and Al is his mentor and stuff like that. So that was a very good point. And the other thing is, I thank you for bringing up about the internet with your children. Because my daughter, she stays on the internet, and she has a hump in her neck. So now I'm going to take her to the doctor to see if she has any neck problems, because I was concerned a little bit, but now that you brought it to my attention, I'm going to check into that. And then another thing was, I just wanted to admit, stand in front of everyone and say that I am an addict. My name is LaToya, and I'm an internet addict. I watch YouTube, TikTok sometimes, and Google. So I just wanted to admit that I am an addict. Thank you.
In terms of AA meeting, but hey, and we all use YouTube. We got the elders on, so that's our, so there's good and bad addictions. You know what I'm saying? So like the internet is not all bad. It's just what you venture into on the internet.
No, we just put her on a 12-point program.
All right.
Shalom, peace and blessings, family. I hope each and every one of you are well. Praise my Most High for you. So in Revelation 17, I have a question. It says, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name or the number of his name. Are those three separate things that you can have concerning the mark of the beast? Or is the marker, because you know how it says, like, it sounds like three different things to me. It sounds like, save he that have the mark, 1, save he that have the name, 2, or save he that have his number, 3. So is that 3 separate, or is that?
No, that's all in one.
All in one.
Yeah, that's all in one. It's just the understanding is that you can't have one without the other.
Okay.
As far as that, so all those are inclusive.
Okay.
All right.
Time.
All right.
It almost, I wish I had the reference to it. I want to hold back before I say it. But www is a reference to 666. Okay, so we're talking about addiction. So maybe if you don't have the mark, you have it in your mind to follow the sin anyway, because you've been trained since so high to accept these false realities as the truth. That's one of the things Facebook does. It gives you an image of somebody, and they may not even be like that at all.
So what you're saying is that one will lead to the other. Yeah, so basically they all together, but one leads you to the next stage and then to the end game. Right, without, because you're going to need, because if you believe in the first two, that third one you're going to get automatically because you've already been indoctrinated with the first two. So just like the officer was just explaining, that once it's in your mind, now you're thinking that's my only option. This is life.
And it's gospel.
And it's got where it's the truth to them. So now this is how life is, and understanding that the children now being raised, that's all they're going to know is just this here. So understanding that, the parents are trying to keep them old school, but understanding that now they have a harder time because they're going to believe that this is way of life because it's what I was raised in. So each one, as the officer just mentioned, does lead. They're all together, but one leads to the other one.
I get on the internet and I say, you're going to get COVID again on June 30th at 3 o'clock. Well, you'll have half the nation, because of this indoctrination, literally sitting there on June 29th thinking the world. It happened with the change at 2000. They had companies buying all kind of consulting groups because they're afraid those clocks are going to change and the computers were going to go.
Right.
So you can be conditioned for anything.
All right, let's give a hand for that answer. That question. We have Sister Sheila Kellogg as well. Okay. 1 second, Sister Sheila. We got one sister first.
Shabbat Shalom, family. How are you? All praises to the Most High for the lesson you brought out, and like Sister Latoya said, I'm with you there with being with the internet. I noticed that my guilty pleasure, I guess, with the internet is I noticed having like an addiction, like an impulsiveness, like when it came to like BitChute or trying to find the next type of video that would catch my attention, pertaining to, prophecy or whatever. And then I would find myself, just having anxiety or something to that extent. And I also would notice, like, when I'm trying to read scripture, I get sleepy and I, end up falling asleep. But if I'm on the internet, it's opposite. I'm trying to, hold my eyes open, so to speak, to finish watching, some on YouTube or, something like with gardening or, survival stuff or whatever. But recently, I just got a library card for me and my daughter, and now I like to, ever since I went there, it like brought me back like to being a kid, with her, of course. But we be in there, like you could get like 50 books or whatever at a time, so I be in there now, and I look forward to our walks going, to the library and learning and reading. So what you brought out was, on time, because I guess I'm transitioning, trying to transition from off the internet to, reading more and being more aware of my surroundings and being present. So all praises.
And I want to ask you a question. Is that library card an actual physical one or is it digital? Oh, I can't believe that, because back in the day you had the cards, but everything is digital now. You probably put it on your phone or something like that. And that you got to actually swipe. Oh, okay, it's still old school. Okay, but yeah. So like I said, it's still balance. Having the balance, needing the balance in your life, because if you do more than one, if you do more than the other, then you're imbalanced. So understanding that. So, all right.
Just a quick observation. Well, I work in payroll for a school district, and if the internet is out, we can't do anything. And I mean nothing. Wow. So there is nobody getting paid, even if they don't have direct deposit, we still have to process the pay in order for them to be able to get a live check. We do everything everything that we do is internet based. So, for example, on Monday, the internet was out at the schools and at the district office, so everybody had to work from home, and we had to use our own internet, otherwise nothing gets done. I mean, absolutely nothing gets done without the internet, and I think that's absolutely crazy. Like, even if you have everything backed up or whatever, every program that we use is on the server somewhere, and so if there's no internet, there's nothing being done.
And so they didn't even have a backup like where you can write things down, like nothing like that at all?
I mean, you can do paper, like we do keep, we print things out, forms, like every form that they do, the W-4s, the direct deposit authorizations, there's a program for that, they have to fill it out online. If something goes down, yes, we can print it out, have them physically write it, and we keep copies, of everything in the files. But as far as processing the pay, everything we do is, like I said, it's on a particular server. It goes through the internet, and it's not necessarily based like the program that we use. There could be it could be on a server in Ohio, or it could be a server in California, and then it comes back to us. It's based off of different places. So, but if our internet is out, there's really no paper forms. Like, we can't even get to where their salaries are. We would have to maybe look at their hire letters, look at a copy of the hire letters, but that's 800 people that have to, we would have to go through every file to see how much they've been paid, how much they get paid. Everything is backed up on the internet, everything.
And lastly, they say you had to go home and use your own internet?
Well, I mean, since the pandemic, we've had to do things, we had to work remotely. So, everything is, if you're working remote, you're basically using your own internet, because, there's no internet at the schools, which actually I do have they have given us a hotspot, a Wi-Fi hotspot that we can use. But, of course my internet at home is faster. So.
I'm about to say, like, man, you owe me some internet. Go to that school, like, hey, you owe me this much internet.
Yeah,
and I want this in the check. Put that on my check. I was about to say, make sure they know you no more internet. All right. Okay, thank you to Water Sister for the comment. All right, anyone else? Before you go, Officer, Sister Kellogg.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
I just want to make a quick comment. If you notice, all of this has taken place in less than 50 years, and this is the fastest implementation of, they would say, industrial changes in history. When I first started working in banking, I was in banking in the 70s, and I worked in money movement in Northern Trust. And all the money movement took place on paper via ticker tapes. We would have to get ticker tapes. Then I was on the transition team that started transitioning them from paper to the automatic money movement, so your electronic funds transfer, cash station, it was initially called, that they rolled out now to ATMs and all of that. And mainframes, those that are around my age, you remember mainframes took up whole floors, sometimes multiple floors, and you had to use actual tapes. When we moved the money to the Federal Reserve Bank, someone literally had to take a physical tape from the bank over to the Federal Reserve Bank for them to mount on their mainframes to run. So all of this has really taken place as the fastest in history. And that transition from money movement, they ran parallel with paper for a while until they phased out paper. And if you remember, there used to be bank loads of tellers in the banks, remember? And I remember they rolled out the cash station system. They said it was going to be convenient, it was going to do this, that, and the other, but it started eliminating jobs to where we are now, where you may have 1 or 2 tellers in the bank, or if not any, you may not have any, you may just have kiosks or ATM. So all of this has been the fastest transition in history. And in terms of it being the B system, they've already acclimated everyone down to the children, because everybody has a phone. It's in your hand. And most people will go back, they have run a study that said that people will go back for their phone before they go back for their kids. They'll leave their babies in the car, but they won't leave their phone in the car. That's the comment I wanted to say.
Water Sister, give a hand. Awesome, Lamont.
Shalom, everybody.
Shalom.
I wanted to add to what Officer Bakar had brought out about the music, about Bone Thugs and Harmony. I know that all of our music has put us in an alternate reality. You know, when listening, growing up looking at videos, when you see the videos, they have your mind wondering that I could be like that. Now, I could do stuff like that. Looking at videos, people selling drugs. A lot of youngins, you know, start selling drugs because of these videos, because they wanted the fast life. That was with hip hop. Now, it's the same thing with R&B music. R&B music puts you into an ultimate reality too, that everything is about love, when it's not. And as a lyricist, when you listen to R&B music, you see that they're talking about the same stuff the rappers talking about. They're just saying it in a loving, in a sweet way. That's why the Most High said, speak smooth things to me. Because when you hear it smooth coming from a singer like Luther Vandross, you know what I'm saying, it's you taking in different than you hear it from like NWA when they saying stuff, but they talking about the exact same thing. Put you in an alternate reality that relationships is all about love making and holding hands, walking through the park, when it's not. And the same thing can be said about, I'm sorry to say it, gospel music. A lot of us grew up in the churches thinking that the gospel music was actually good music to the Most High, when actually it wasn't. Because what they used that music for, they used it for Bacchus, they used it for the Holy Ghost. I'll never forget, one of my godmothers was telling me, you need to turn that LL Cool J and that Run DMC off, that's the devil music. And then I go to church with her and they playing all this gospel music and there's people falling all over the floor and jumping up, acting crazy. And I'm like, that's not the devil? I don't think God is looking at that and saying that that's my music. So that also put us into an ultimate reality that church is all about coming to church because you forget the lesson, but you remember the show that was put on in front of the pastors. So we have to be careful with regular life, thinking that we live in regular life when we actually in an ultimate reality. And we always have been in one. It's only now that I'm starting to understand the difference between certain music and certain beats and certain realities not being in the truth. Because when you see it all as a whole, the first thing you think is, man, I was lost back in the day, but I thought this was about that, when it was actually about this. So that's what I wanted to say, that the music, all of our music from rap to jazz to blues to gospel to R&B has always been an alternate reality for us. Shalom.
All right, thank you for that, officer. We got one last, we got two. The final one will be Brother David. All right, go ahead.
Hello. Okay. I just wanted to say that it's kind of hard for me not to be an internet addict, only because my business, I am an audio engineer, and my business is based around the internet. Just like my mom said, how she can't do payroll without the internet. I can't, like, most of my inspiration I get for mixing music is TikTok or YouTube, or, you know, so when I'm on those certain apps, I kind of go down a rabbit hole, and it's like I'm clicking on videos about, you know, Marvel, or I'm clicking on videos about how to cook certain foods and stuff like that, and now I'm just you know, stuck. And also another thing, it was a report that came out like maybe a year ago. In Gary, they were talking about taking down the convention center and putting up some type of nanotech company or whatever. And their catch was, we're offering thousands of jobs and you know. So I just wanted to point that out and bring that to attention. Yeah.
Go out, young man. All right, your hand for that. One last, Brother David.
Shalom, family. Shalom. You know, I was thinking about the internet and some of the apps, and if you really think about it, these apps that we use, they're the most lucrative businesses of all time, and they were given for free. Like, think about that. We become brand ambassadors to some degree. They make all their money from advertisements and whatnot. But then as we was talking about reality, I know in the negative context, the adversary has altered our reality. But we have the power to alter reality. Christ walked on water, right? Like, I don't even know what reality is, honestly. Like, what is it supposed to be in the eyes of the Most High? Like, Adam fell from the beginning. I'm sure he was supposed to go from glory to glory. We don't even know what that looks like, what it looks like. And I'm saying all this to say that from the negative standpoint, yes, our reality has been altered. But we got more power. And if we get creative, because we were created to create, and start becoming more disciplined, and I'm speaking to myself too, right? But like, we got power. We got the truth. We got to implement it. We got to create the new simulations for everybody to participate in. And so I just wanted to share that. I know we are growing in knowledge, and I just wanted to, it motivated me as I was listening to everybody speak, so I just wanted to share that. So thank you, officer.
Praise the Most High. All right. Thank you for everyone. Yeah, I said that was the last one. We got one more?
The last one?
Okay, all right.
One more.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, after this lesson, I just want to encourage parents too, because it was hard for us at first, even with social media, TikTok, and Facebook, and not even Facebook, Instagram for the kids. You know, I thought it was okay. My daughter had TikTok and stuff, but then just seeing some of the dances and things that was going on, as time progressed, we made a decision to tell them, no, y'all gotta leave that alone. Just an encouragement, because you can do it, you know what I'm saying? And they can have alternate things to keep their time. Yeah, that's all.
All praise, yeah, and as I said, hey, Brother Canuck knows, you know, hey, it's not girls with, boys too, but understanding that, we're not with them all the time, what they're watching. So you never know what their eyes glued to, especially when they're quiet. That's the best time to go check and see, hey, it's awfully quiet in here. Let me go check and see what's going on. And then you be like, what the what? Do some push-ups or something, but understanding that, but yeah, that's what, as parents, like I said, that's our responsibility, because even though they're our children, they're the Most High's children first. And He's given us the responsibility to train them up to follow Him. He's the Father of all spirits. So we've been ambassadors on His behalf to make sure His children grow up to follow Him, not follow Satan. So understanding that this is one of those things that, okay, yeah, they got things on the internet that are cool, and but we have to still be able to monitor them and what they watch, so they don't grow up with these preconceived thoughts of them having to battle that. Now we're trying to follow the Most High as well. Come? All right, so once again, I'll praise the Most High for the...